The great secret myths of the 20th century reveal stories that the world must know. Strange lights playing in the sky raise questions. What are they? Ominous metallic masses hanging over the sea and fireballs frolicking at night create an atmosphere of mystery. Beams of searchlights suddenly appearing from unknown ships and objects, shooting out of the Earth's atmosphere at unimaginable speeds, challenge our understanding of reality. Some writers are convinced that the mysterious patterns in the Peruvian Nazca Desert, which can only be seen from above, have extraterrestrial origins. Perhaps the figures in prehistoric caves depict beings in spacesuits. Or maybe the Mayan pyramids point the way to the stars? The intriguing stone statues on Easter Island may have been carved by stranded aliens. Although scientists and skeptics dismiss such suggestions, they have firmly captured the imagination of the general public. The inhabitants of Nuremberg in the Middle Ages observed mysterious lights in the sky, and the first photograph of an unidentified flying object was taken in Mexico more than 100 years ago. During World War II, the modernization of technical means led to an increase in UFO sightings. It is possible that the troops involved in the conflict were being observed from space. On the 25th of February 1942, the residents of Los Angeles had not yet recovered from the shock caused by the attack on Pearl Harbor. At that time, measures were being taken to repel a Japanese invasion, and questions arose. Had an invasion by aliens occurred on the West Coast? In photographs, beams of searchlights surrounded an unidentified flying object, which was reported to the Chief of Staff of the Army, General Marshall, who in turn informed President Roosevelt. Later, during the war, American bombers often encountered a strange scourge of fire piercing their formation during flights over enemy territory. What was it, secret German weaponry or a phenomenon of extraterrestrial origin? A new horrifying era began in 1945 with the testing of atomic weapons and their use against Japan. The nuclear age was characterized by a combination of the Cold War and destructive power, which may have attracted the attention of extraterrestrial civilization. American civil aviation pilot Kenneth Arnold coined the term flying saucers when in 1947, near Mount Rainier, several flying discs overtook his plane at a speed of about 1,300 miles per hour. Such encounters became frequent. In July, the crew of a civilian aircraft DC-3 on its way to Seattle encountered a swarm of flying saucers. The increase in UFO sightings raised concerns in official circles. Lieutenant General Nathan Twining was tasked with gathering factual material and composing a secret document. He reported that this phenomenon was not a fabrication or an optical illusion. The sense of security threat intensified after the strange death of American Mustang pilot Thomas Mantell in January 1948. Mantell, according to his report, was pursuing a colossal disc-shaped object. Wreckage of his aircraft was found scattered within a mile radius of the rural area of Kentucky. There were numerous UFO sightings on the ground. One such event, captured on amateur footage in 1950, remains unclear. Were two alien ships depicted, or was it merely a play of light on the vapor trails of jet aircraft during their landing? In July 1952, the so-called Washington Panic occurred, the largest in American history. Flying saucers played cat and mouse with American Air Force fighters for a full day. The saucers were detected on radar screens, their speed exceeding 1,000 miles per hour. Dozens of witnesses saw the saucers hovering over the Capitol, as in science fiction films. UFOs became a popular topic for mythmakers. One of the most mysterious photographs of a flying saucer, taken in the state of Oregon in 1950, has yet to find a satisfactory explanation. In 1953, at Luke Air Force Base, located in Arizona, a pilot of a Thunderjet spotted an unidentified flying object at an altitude of 30,000 feet. He managed to capture it using a camera built into the machine gun. There were no other military aircraft in the area. In November of the same year, another American jet fighter went missing while pursuing a UFO that had been detected by radar. These incidents were documented in the Blue Book, which the Pentagon created in 1951 to study UFO activity. The Blue Book describes 12,000 encounters with UFOs and was completed in 1969. Access to it can be obtained at the National Archives in Washington. Reports on other secret intelligence gathered by the American Interplanetary Phenomena Unit under the command of General Douglas MacArthur have never been made public. In the early 1950s, a pilot of the English Royal Air Force also encountered a UFO during a training flight over southern England. He described that when the object was above him, it became evident that it was moving at a fantastic speed. I mentally photographed it. My impression of it: a round object with clear contours, intensely glowing with maximum light around the rim, recalled the pilot. In 1958, a team from a Brazilian naval ship conducting research in the Atlantic Ocean noticed a strange object. One of the crew members, enthusiastic about photography, took pictures while the object moved up and down at the edge of the clouds and then suddenly disappeared at an enormous speed. In January 1976, during the filming of a movie about the English Concorde, which was flying at cruising speed, something unusual occurred. A silver sphere appeared, smoothly gliding from below to above around the airliner, and then disappeared just as it had appeared. British Airways explained this phenomenon as a foreign body in the lens of the camera. Nevertheless, there were hundreds of credible UFO sightings by airliner crews. In November 1986, a huge UFO shaped like a walnut and larger than an aircraft carrier followed a Japanese Airlines Boeing 747 flying to Alaska. In 1962, MacArthur, the founder of the Interplanetary Phenomena Division, warned the United States Military Academy at West Point, "You will come face to face with a new world. The penetration into outer space is the beginning of an inevitable conflict between the unified human race and the dark forces of another galaxy." Rumors that astronauts encountered aliens during the first moon landing quickly spread. Inside the lunar module, astronaut Buzz Aldrin, while approaching the lunar surface, turned on the camera, and it captured the lunar module being closely observed by the crew of an alien spacecraft. A Japanese UFO magazine reproduced the photographs and claimed that they showed an alien attack on the lunar expedition. However, the UFO turned out to be merely a reflection of light inside the lunar module. The American shuttle Discovery, while in orbit at an altitude of 350 kilometers above the Earth, also witnessed extraterrestrial curiosities. It filmed several objects that seemed to be leaving the atmosphere at minimal speed. In 1985, Ronald Reagan, who claimed to have personally observed a UFO from the deck of an airliner, told Mikhail Gorbachev that their task would be much easier if a sudden threat to peace from another race from another planet appeared. If we are to believe the amateur astronomer George Adamski, encounters with extraterrestrials have a long history. Adamski claims that one of his photographs depicts a Venusian scout ship, with whose inhabitants he had regular contact. In one of the photographs taken by Adamski, a mothership is captured, from which a reconnaissance craft is departing. These images and Adamski's encounters with extraterrestrials have become classic material for ufologists. However, the credibility of his stories was undermined by later claims of travels to the moon, where he allegedly discovered forests and animals, as well as encounters in a Los Angeles motel with agents from Mars and Saturn. The truthfulness of Adamski proved to be as changeable as the sands of the California desert, where his ship landed after distant journeys. The long-awaited physical evidence of an encounter with extraterrestrials arose by chance. In 1967, Stephen Michalek suffered burns when he approached a saucer that had landed near Folk Lake in Canada. A stream of scorching air from the ship's exhaust left a mark on his abdomen that completely matched the exhaust he described. In November 1975, Travis Walton, a logger from Arizona, encountered a mysterious ship hovering over a clearing. He described how it was lower than the treetops and had a diameter of about 25 feet. A strange mechanical sound emanated from the ship, and Walton felt an overwhelming desire to see the living beings from space that were behind a closed hatch. However, frightened, he decided to run but felt a blow and lost consciousness. Walton claimed that he found himself inside the ship, where humanoid aliens conducted medical experiments on him. Later, he underwent a lie detector test twice to confirm the truthfulness of his account, but the results were questionable. Did Walton lie? Or did the trauma cause him to assert that aliens had abducted his brain? In January 1976, Mrs. Bowles and Mr. Pratt were returning home from Winchester in southern England. At first, they noticed a bright orange light that many had seen that evening. Then their car went out of control. They were traveling at a speed of about 20, maybe 25 miles per hour, and suddenly the car became uncontrollable, veered off the road, and drove into a patch of virgin grass about 15 yards wide. It was then that they saw a cigar-shaped object hovering right in front of them. Inside the object were 3 figures, which they noted were in the cabin. The cabin was brightly lit, and everything happening inside was clearly visible. The cigar-shaped object hung motionless and emitted smoke or vapor resembling gas exhaust. Suddenly, one of the aliens emerged from this object and approached them. As he got closer, Mrs. Bowles heard a whistling sound reminiscent of a boiling kettle. The alien was in a steel-colored protective suit with a closed collar. His face was expressionless and marked with deep scars. He came up close to the car, placed his hand on the roof, and peered into the open window. Perhaps the most notorious encounter with extraterrestrials occurred 30 years ago, in July 1947, in the New Mexico desert. A farm owner discovered debris that turned out to be remnants of an aircraft crash, but the surviving pieces of metal were completely unlike earthly materials. Personnel near the Roswell Air Force Base cordoned off access to the area. It was officially stated that a flying saucer had been found, but later the Air Force denied this report, claiming that a crashed weather balloon had been discovered. For many years, rumors circulated that one of 3 crashes in Roswell had resulted in the recovery of alien bodies. In 1995, these rumors received a new boost when a film was shown on television, capturing the autopsy of alien bodies found as a result of the crash. Skeptics argue that many UFO films are merely shiny fakes created using special effects. Our sun, along with its planets, is an ordinary star in an average galaxy consisting of millions of stars. When some of these stars formed, it is possible that planets with intelligent inhabitants appeared around them. Perhaps it is they who have visited our planet. UFOs can take on various forms, including the classic flying saucer and cigar-shaped ships, as well as discs with flashing lights. Nevertheless, their alleged flights in our sky can be explained by physical phenomena. One impressive video was captured by a tourist in the Rocky Mountains. It was later revealed that this was not a UFO at all, but a meteor bolide, a piece of rock the size of a 3-story house. Another case involves a bright source of light hovering over an American town. This was not an alien ship, but the planet Venus, which often confuses even experienced astronauts. NASA engineer James Oberg recalls how during one of the space flights, astronaut Michael Collins saw Venus against the backdrop of the rising sun and mistakenly took it for a target satellite. He requested an explanation from Earth as to why the satellite appeared from the wrong side. It was later revealed that it was Venus. There are other local cases that occurred long before the phenomenon of UFOs emerged. For example, a train engineer once derailed a train, mistaking the low-hanging Venus for an oncoming train. Confusion with Venus happens often, and it does not mean that people are not sober or honest. It is simply human error. An interesting geological explanation for some UFO phenomena is based on studies of the immense stresses occurring at fault lines. In the laboratory, a piece of granite was subjected to compression until it broke, resulting in the heated granite creating a burst of radio frequency. In slow-motion footage taken in the dark, one can see a bright ball of plasma composed of ionized gas erupting from the granite, which is also accompanied by radio frequency. Weather balloons are often mistaken for UFOs. In the United States, this explanation was used for the Roswell incident, although remnants of the highly classified Mogul project, in which high-altitude balloons were used as part of the American detection system, could have been present there as well. Strange lights in the sky can sometimes be explained by quite earthly reasons. These are not flying saucers, but airplane lights that, when viewed from the right angle, can form a promotional call. There are also flying saucers created by humans in the 1950s. It was a fun experiment, but one probably cannot reach Alpha Centauri in them. Nevertheless, there may be other secret machines that fuel rumors of encounters with UFOs. In recent years, many UFO sightings coincided with tests of special aircraft, the shapes of which, being invisible to radar, can easily be mistaken for UFOs. One prominent example is the so-called Ormister UFO, which was photographed in England in 1970 near a large military base. Ufologists were convinced that it was a real UFO. In reality, it was a clever hoax orchestrated by the English government. A sergeant involved in this explains, "We mystified the public for almost 2.5 years to control the research conducted by ufologists. All this time we monitored their publications." A multitude of articles about saucers appeared, and many people tried to analyze the photographs. It must be said that 5 deliberate mistakes were made in the photographs so that any critically minded researcher could easily discover that this is not what it is purported to be and that they are dubious. The first and simplest thing to note is that the distance between the streetlights varied when the series of photographs was intended to be continuous. These photographs turned out to be a forgery created using images taken on different nights, onto which an image of an alien spacecraft was superimposed. Ufologists completely fell for this trick related to the Orminstian UFO. However, the question arises, what are these objects captured in 1978 by a transport aircraft crew in New Zealand? Numerous objects were recorded, and not a single convincing explanation for their origin has been found to this day. At least one of the UFOs was detected by radar. Despite attempts at rational explanations, these objects continue to remain a mystery of the night sky. When it comes to UFO encounters, the statistics look utterly absurd. If we are to believe all the reports, then tens of thousands of alien spacecraft must be arriving on Earth every year. If the incident in Roswell truly occurred, some of the aliens would likely have remained here forever, possibly behind the bars of the U.S. Air Force. There is a multitude of widely recognized physical evidence that could explain such phenomena. However, thousands of credible accounts could not produce even 1/100th of the effect that a single ashtray from the alien's household could. Could UFOs be a modern transformation of demons that have tormented humanity for centuries? Or is the variety of phenomena involving strange objects related to the inhabitants of this elusive craft? Or perhaps earthly governments are keeping such serious secrets that they are not entitled to disclose to the general public.